What's up, everyone? Today I'd like to take aim at a widely accepted formula or method for calculating your daily calorie needs. Now, it's widely known and everyone seems to accept the fact that the baseline for calorie need determination is a person's body weight. Now, I have a major problem with this because body weight does not necessarily tell you everything that you need to know about the person that you're figuring the calorie needs for. You can have a 300-pound person that's primarily fat, or you can have a 300-pound person that's lean and primarily muscle mass. When you think about that, right there, that should be a major red flag that simply using body weight as the baseline factor to determine calorie needs is straight up wrong. Now, I'm going to go into a little more detail on this right now. Let's do this. Let's take a deeper look at the baseline factor for determining daily caloric intake. Now, the first thing that I'd like to go over is laying out two different scenarios, two different people. Both of these people will have the same body weight, but you'll see that their body composition varies greatly. So let's get started and get these guys up on the board. Alright, so we're back with person A and person B. Now you can see that each person weighs a flat 300 pounds. Person A has a body fat percentage of 10%. Person B has a body fat percentage of 30%. Now I'm illustrating this fact because I don't believe in using body weight as a determinant, as the primary determinant for determining your calorie needs per day. I believe in using lean body mass, which is shown here. So person A is carrying 270 pounds of lean body mass. That means that 270 pounds of their 300 pounds are made up of non-fatty tissue, non-fatty substance. Person B, since their body fat is higher, they're carrying more fatty substance, and therefore their lean body mass is going to be lower than person A, and they sit at 210 pounds of lean body mass. I also use an activity factor that I figure through multiple factors for each individual: age, their job type, their training frequency, and there's some other factors as well that go into that. And I range my activity factor between 15 and 20. Now, without going into any of person A or person B's reasoning for the number 17, after all, they're just made up, so I'm just choosing 17 just because it's in the middle, and that's really it. So just because it's in the middle. So activity factor of 17 and an activity factor of 17 for both persons A and B. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to just figure their daily caloric needs, and let's lay those out. So we've got 270 pounds of lean body mass, which is the main primary factor that I use in determining caloric intake, and then I multiply that by their personal activity factor. So we've got 270, which is just a boatload of lean body mass. I mean, this is like Mr. Olympia we're talking about here. Why I went with 300 pounds, don't ask me. That's a big guy. And 270 pounds times 17 is going to actually equal 4,600 calories, roughly. And since activity factor is factored in, training frequency, job type, age, all those things, we can say that this is the total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. So this is the finalized rough maintenance level for person A, 4,600 calories per day maintenance. Person B, we have 210 pounds times the same activity factor for comparison's sake, and that's going to give us roughly 3,600. Again, this is the adjusted rough maintenance level, taking into account activity and many other things as well. So we've got 4,600 and 3,600. Now it should start to become very apparent that if we simply went with body weight as the main determinant to plug into that equation to figure out total caloric need as far as maintenance goes, we would just have the same number. So it actually becomes extremely clear right now that simply using body weight as your determinant for daily caloric need is wrong. We've come up with two different numbers varying by 1,000 calories for two different people that have the same body weight. You should easily be able to tell that there's a serious problem with that, because you need to be taking into account body fat, which leads to lean body mass, and also obviously you have to take into account your activity factor too. The activity factors really don't illustrate much here. The main point is that body fat, and as a result lean body mass, needs to be taken into account. You can't just use body weight. So I'd like to make that clear. You can't just use body weight when you're determining your daily caloric needs. You need to use what matters, and that's your lean body mass. One other point that I'd like to follow up with and conclude with is a major point as well, because a lot of people look at protein intake, and protein intake is what this point revolves around, but a lot of people simply say 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now again, if we look at our two examples, we have a 300-pound individual and another 300-pound individual. So they would simply say, okay, all they need is 300 grams of protein per day. Problem solved, end of story. Simple. Unfortunately, they would be wrong. And there's a lot of people saying this, and there's a lot of mainstream, widely known macro formulas that use this, and it's simply not correct. Again, this person is holding 90 pounds of fatty mass. This person is holding 30. Why should they be eating the same amount of protein when protein has nothing to do with fatty tissue or fatty mass? Protein doesn't support it. Fatty tissue does not require protein to exist. So basically, you're telling me that this person needs protein to support that 90 pounds of fatty mass, and that's just not true. It makes no sense. I really don't understand why mainstream calculators still revolve around the archaic 1 gram per pound of body weight. It's just not the way to go. If you want to be smart about your nutrition, base protein around lean body mass. The lean tissue in your body, the muscle, the organs, the other parts of your body that are important, those parts are based around protein. And fatty mass is not based around protein. It does not need protein to exist, and therefore protein should not be taken into account in terms of fatty mass. Now I understand that many people have been eating 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein for a long time, and it's worked for them. That really doesn't matter. You can always upgrade your approach, and that does not mean that the approach that you've been using for a while is the best, because approaches can be upgraded. You can find a better method, and you can put that method to work for you. So what I suggest is really thinking about applying the lean body mass factor versus the total body weight factor when starting to figure your macros with protein needs. In closing, I really encourage everyone watching this video to comment below. There's going to be probably some type of debate on this video, just because it really takes a shot at mainstream calculators, mainstream ideas, and I'd like to get a nice discussion going on this because I'd like to work on getting it out there that total body weight is not the primary determinant of calorie needs. It's part of the picture, but when it comes down to it and you're using your actual formula to figure out your rough maintenance level and then choose to go in a surplus or deficit, whether you're bulking or cutting, you need to understand that that main factor is not going to be your total body weight. It needs to be your lean body mass, and then you need to account for your activity level as well to reach your total daily energy expenditure. So let's hear the comments, let's hear the debate, let's hear the arguments, and that's it. I'm checking out. It's bedtime for me. I've got to get one more meal in to hit my 5,000 plus calories per day, because if you don't know, it's time for me to up those calories into that 5,500, maybe even that 6,000 calorie range. I'm at a plateau right now. My body's at a set point, and it's clear to me that I'm gonna have to do some big things to break this. Follow along as I try to break 220 pounds, and thanks again for watching.
Bazinga!